what I call an existential crisis, a crisis of being. I didn't want to live anymore. I was even thinking about taking my own life. I didn't want to be here anymore. Life sucked for me, okay? Because I'd had every pleasurable monkey experience that you can have, all right? And I'd have the most beautiful thing that was on this earth, women, I'd had, right? Of different cultures, shapes, sizes, nationalities, you name it. Now what, right? What's the answer? What satisfies me? Just doing this endlessly, is that gonna? It felt good, but see, the principle of that is the more you do, the more you gotta do to feel the pleasure. You know, you gotta increase the dosage. You build up a tolerance to it. It's the same thing with, you know, pursuing pleasurable things. After a while, you get to a point where you're gonna do so much that you're gonna die, either from overdose or from AIDS or some other disease, because you're living like a beast. And I realized that. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to live anymore. I got nothing for me. I ain't got no high school diploma. I don't want a career. I got nothing. I'm checking out. Now, I don't like pain even for that much, so I didn't want to be the one to press delete. So as I'm sitting in my parents' house on this occasion, I go out into the hallway, because my friends had stopped calling, you know, and they're all wasted on a beach somewhere, and the house is quiet. And for the first time in about 10 years, since I was like 10 years old, this is what it sounded like in my room. I didn't even have a room. It was like an extended closet that my parents had for me when I passed through on occasion. This is what I heard for about the first time in 10 years in my life. Nothing. And the silence was so loud, it was screaming at me, right? I don't know if you've noticed, at least in America, I don't know what happens here, but silence is like an enemy nowadays. You can't go most times to a restaurant. You can't go to an airport. You go to an airport, good luck trying not to be forced to watch TV, right? Terminal, gate, whatever, there's a TV and you will watch it, right? Good luck. I try and find places like that in terminals. It's hard, right? You can't go shopping, at least in America. I don't know about here. I'm not saying the music is bad. A lot of times it's just elevator music. It's, you know, nothing much to it. But where's the silence? I hadn't been in a silent environment in like a decade. And so I freaked out. The silence was like screaming at me. So I got out in the hallway to look at like National Geographics. I'm looking, and they're always easy to find on a bookshelf, right? They're yellow and they come in chunks. Well, there was nothing but one yellow book. The cover, the binding, said something weird. It said, "The Queen of Peace visits Med Ju G G G G G G G G Gore G G G Gore." Right? What the heck is that? Right? So I pull it out, and I'm like, I don't know, man. And it had a cross on the cover, which to me meant it was the dork manual, you know. And some dude who wrote it, after his name, it said capital A, which meant one thing to me. That dude is a friend of Bill, right? If you know what I mean. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, he puts it behind his name. That's insane, right? That dude is like proud member of AA, right? Because I did my AA and NA meetings trying to get my chip in the small group in the things. And so I thought, I met some cool people in those programs, so maybe this dude is debunking this cult that my parents have joined, and this is the book they didn't want me to find. Ha ha. So I go into the room, and I look at the pictures, and I don't understand, because it's got some little kids on a karate position looking up into the air like they had just smoked a big fat one, right? They were, oh yeah, right? Look high as a kite. So I'm like, what? So I'm trying to read the pictures, and trying to pronounce their names was another issue, right? Could have used a few vowels, right? Over there, it's like CZWLK, right? That's how they work it. I was like, huh? And where's, Jim? Give me Jim, simple name. Couldn't pronounce their names. I'm like, and half the places, the locations I couldn't pronounce. PDROBO, how do you even say that, right? From an American perspective, I'm like clueless. And so I'm like, all right, what is going on? So I start reading the beginning of the book. It's talking about some war. I didn't care, so I was fast forwarding, whatever. I get to some other stuff, and these kids, little kids, are saying that they're seeing some beautiful woman come from heaven, and she smells like roses. There's heavenly doves all around. There's like a clap of thunder. They fall to their knees, like they're pushed to their knees, and they start crying because she's so beautiful. Now, me and my little hippie heart, I'm thinking, sweet. This is awesome, man. What the heck are these kids smoking, right? This is unbelievable. I was searching for the gypsy queen, right? And so I was like, what is going on? So I keep reading, and then she starts talking to them with a message that I didn't want to hear. She started saying, I've come to tell you that God exists. And I'm like, oh, right. Where's God, right? For me, if I couldn't, smoke them, snort them, or drink them, God didn't exist. Yet, all my life, since basically the age of reason and when I could speak, I had said the word God probably 1,000 times a day. God this, God that. Never in a reverential way, right? Said it 1,000 times a day since I was about 5 years old. And so all of a sudden she's saying that God exists, and I'm like, whatever. So I keep reading, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then she said, I've come to tell you that God exists while there's still time. And I'm like, lady, there ain't nothing but time. This is a cosmic rock going nowhere. What are you talking about? And so she says, you're not happy, right? Like the message is like right speaking to me. And I'm like, all right, I'll give you that much. Whoever you are, I'm not happy, all right? I'm thinking about taking my life. And then she said, you're not happy because you're sinning. What? See, the music that I grew up listening to, I grew up listening to bands that went by the name Judas Priest, okay? I used to listen to lyrics that went like this, 666, number of the beast, I will return and possess your soul and you will burn, right? The highway to hell was the same thing as the stairway to heaven to me. Because neither one of them existed, I ran with the devil. But it didn't mean anything, right? But now, this beautiful woman I can't see is saying, you're not happy because you're sinning. Sin to me in my generation meant one thing: good times. Go for it. Don't let anybody inhibit you. And if they try, you claim your rights and you fight for it to be able to do what you want to do, because you're just a monkey passing through here anyway. And so as she starts saying this stuff, I'm like, all right, man, that's too simplistic. You got to be kidding me. That's too black and white for me. Because everybody taught me growing up, hey, there's no black and white, okay? Anybody tries to tell you their moral dogmas, don't listen to them. They're uninformed, they're not educated, they're antiquated, outdated, and just need to go away. And so as I keep reading this, I'm just like, all right, this is the kind of stuff that basically people told me to avoid and to not listen to, and they would say that you're nuts. And so as I kept reading, I thought to myself, you know what, this message is good, but it's not for me because I'm broke, man. I mean, there was a time when I held a gun to my mother's head, really. There was a time when I used to hurt so many people. You don't know me. If there's a heaven, you don't know me. You don't know how messed up I am. I'm in sin, what you're calling sin, patterns of sin I've been doing since basically I can remember. And I know it's nasty, and I know it's foul, and I'm ashamed of it. I'm disgusted by it, but I can't stop. So what? So thanks for revealing this to me, for giving me this, and I can't change. I can't change. And there was a bookmark in that book, and it had an alleged message from this Blessed Virgin Mary, and it said this: you don't have to change to love me. Loving me will change you. That's profound. I read it again. You don't have to change to love me. Loving me will change you. I didn't know that kind of love. I loved people like I love an ice cream cone. Take a few licks, on with the next flavor. My love was all self-centered. I didn't know heavenly, sacrificial, long-suffering love. And as I kept reading this book, she took it to the next level. She went from just talking about God, because interesting what she did in working with me. See, because I see this now as I travel around. It's kind of funny when I meet people in airports and stuff, and they say, oh, it's nice to see you. I'm glad you're on our plane, Father. I'm a spiritual person. I don't need the institutionalized religion, but I'm a believer, and I believe in God, and I'm a spiritual person. That's hilarious to me when people say that, because I'm like, you know what? So is Lucifer. That doesn't mean squat, okay? That doesn't impress me, right? When you tell me you're a spiritual person. You don't have a choice, Jack. You're born that way, right? So whatever. So when she took it from talking about God, she took it to the next level of talking about Jesus Christ, right? Because there's a lot of people out there in the world today, their God is their belly button. Trust me. There's people, humming to themselves for hours at a time in Sedona, Arizona, and so forth, and just, worshiping themselves, basically, and all over the world. New Age, man, it's all over the place. Just deifying yourself, trying to. But she took it to the next level. She started talking about Jesus. And I was like, oh, man, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And as she started talking, she started saying that she was his mother. This is how ignorant I was of Christianity. I didn't realize that. Wait a minute. His mom? That's interesting, because I always thought that Jesus was kind of poof, shazam, rub-a-dub-dub. He just popped out of the air somewhere at 33, and sure, he had like a family or something, but it was kind of fabricated, and just kind of made up for the books. They fudged it in the books, right? And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So what do you got to say about your Jesus? Because I've heard a lot of people talking about Jesus on TV. I've had some people I knew talking about this Jesus. What's your take? And as she started talking about Jesus, it was a way that I'd never heard before. Yes, God Almighty, all-powerful, all that.